I felt someone bump against the bed and my eyes instantly flew open. It was my stupid brother Liam looking down at me. I spit at his face. "What are you doing here, creep? Go away." "I'm not here for you, idiot." He looked over at the lump of blankets next to me with big adoring eyes. "Is the sleeping beauty awake yet?" "No, what do you want from her anyway?" He whipped out a red rose from behind his back. "I want to marry her, of course." "Ew, you're 9. Get out of here." And the flying shoe I hurled at him sent him running off, for now at least. Man, he was obsessed with her. Just as I was about to doze off again, Mom barged in. "Is my little Lily awake? I made her favorite breakfast. Come on, sweetheart, wake up." No, she wasn't talking to me. She was gently shaking awake the girl lying in bed next to me, my best friend Lily. "Hi, I'm Clara, and ever since my wealthy best friend had a fight with her parents and moved in with me, my crazy family is just all over her, and everyone acts like I'm the stranger. But before I continue, click like and subscribe." At the breakfast table, Mom kept piling pancakes on Lily's plate and kept slapping my hand away every time I reached out for one. "You can have them once Lily is done. Why don't you eat cereal instead?" Just then, Dad walked into the room looking red in the face with grease all over his shirt. He glared at Mom. "I should never have bought the car from your slimy brother. He sold me a piece of junk. Now it won't start again and I'm so late for work." Before Mom could start yelling at him, Lily quickly said, "Why don't you just take my car and I'll tell my butler to send me a new one today? It's no problem, really." Dad looked ecstatic and rushed forward with his arms wide open. "Oh, Lily, you're an angel sent to me straight from heaven." But in his hurry to hug her, Dad tripped on something and fell smack into the middle of the table, ruining all the food. Mom rose from the chair furious. "Seriously? You're such a loser. I don't know why I ever refused that man, who's now a billionaire, for you. I deserve to be married to someone rich and have his rich children." Dad screamed back. "Oh yeah? Who's stopping you? Go marry him now." I rushed forward and came between the two of them to stop their fighting, but just then my brother pushed me aside roughly. "You almost stepped on Lily's precious toes." Oh God, this was a madhouse. I just left the kitchen to go get ready for school, where I could hang out with some normal people. A few seconds later, Lily followed me to my room, and she was in tears. "I don't feel well, Clara. I can't go to school." I hugged her and said I'd make her some hot chocolate before I left, but she clung to my sleeve looking a bit terrified. "Please don't leave me alone with your crazy family. You have to skip school too." Okay, I will. Why don't you get into bed?" I wondered why she wouldn't tell me what had happened between her and her parents. What could be so bad that she chose to stay in this house of psychos instead? Lily settled into bed and handed me her favorite children's book, You'll Always Be Ugly. That's what my nanny always read to me when I was sick. Will you read to me, please? Just then, we heard a tapping sound on the window. I got up to open it and instantly ducked. A pebble was flying straight towards my face. It missed me by an inch. I was about to shout at whoever was throwing stones at my window, but I suddenly stopped. It was Tom, the boy who lived next door. I had such a big crush on him. We'd started talking some time ago, but ever since Lily had landed at my place, I'd been so busy with all the drama I'd almost forgotten about him. "Hey, Clara, I just saw everyone leaving and thought maybe you'd want to hang out with me." Before I could reply, I heard a man's loud voice. "Tom, where did you go, you little rascal? You better get back here this minute." Tom looked terrified, and in no time at all, he'd scrambled up the wall like a cat and climbed in through my window. I looked at him in surprise. "I didn't know you had a father." "Oh yeah, he left his wife and moved back in with us again. My mom hates him, and they're just fighting all the time." Suddenly, his eyes fell on Lily, and he froze. Oh God, was he gobsmacked by her beauty? Would he start worshiping her like my family too? But to my relief, I saw that he actually looked disgusted. "What is she doing here?" "She moved in to live with us 2 weeks ago." "You know she's a terrible person, and I hate her." Lily jumped off the bed looking furious. "No one cares, you jerk." "Shut up, you cheater." I sighed. How had I forgotten the two of these went out for a while, and she kissed his best friend on his birthday? The two were just at each other's throats. How many times do I have to tell you I didn't mean to make out with him? It was an accident. What does that even mean? Were you just pouting and fell on his lips? Just then, Liam burst in with a cup of hot chocolate and glared at me. "Aren't you supposed to be at school?" "I could ask you the same question." He ignored me and turned to Tom. "Dude, some crazy man who says he's your father is going around the neighborhood like a mad bull and asking everyone where you are." Tom turned really pale. He dropped down on his knees and clasped his hands as he looked up at me. "Clara, can I please move in with you? My dad is crazy and he'll kill me." Oh God, how could I say no? And secretly, I really wanted him to stay. Lily was screaming in protest, but I said I'd ask Mom. I called her and she said he could stay as long as he did the dishes and mowed the lawn every day. Tom happily agreed and hugged me tight. I closed my eyes for a second and sniffed him. Boy, he smelled good. Suddenly, I felt him pulling away from me and screaming, "Ow! Let go of my hair, you witch!" Lily was right behind him, pulling his hair as hard as she could. Before I knew it, he tackled her to the floor. I got elbowed hard in the stomach as Liam and I tried to pull the two apart. When we finally managed to untangle them, I screamed, "Enough! You guys better behave or I'm throwing you both out." In the evening, as we were sitting down for dinner, Mom beamed at Lily and Tom. "Why don't you beautiful kids come and sit by me, one on each side? You're like the daughter and son I never had." Liam and I glared at her across the table. Like, hello, are the children you gave birth to invisible now? Before I could say anything, the door flew open and Dad came walking in with the biggest smile on his face. He looked at Mom. "Hey, you look lovely today. Oh, by the way, I need a divorce. I met someone and we're meant to be together." We all stared at him with our mouths open. I could see Mom frothing at the mouth as she slowly rose from the table and her hand made its way across the plate. Before she could send a flying plate in Dad's direction, a woman skipped in behind him. "Everyone, meet the woman of my dreams." Poor Tom fell off his chair. Mom? What do you think you're doing?" "I'm sorry, honey, but your horrible father kicked me out and I bumped into this loser wandering around the neighborhood. He's the only option I have." My mom narrowed her eyes and said, "Fine, you can have him. But if you want to live under my roof, you'll be paying for yourself and your son." "Deal." Dad looked shocked. "What? I can't believe you'd make a helpless woman pay to live here. I won't allow it." "Who asked you? You can leave if you want. She can stay." "Yeah, and I'm not helpless, you jerk. I could kick your butt easily." Dad just looked at the two of them. "Fine, you women are crazy." And he stormed off to his room. An hour later, he walked out of the house with his bags. And just like that, my crush and his mom had moved in with us, and Mom had made our place a hotel. I could hardly believe all this madness. "Mom, we don't even have enough rooms." Liam shouted, "I can sleep between you and Lily. Look at me, I'm tiny." Mom said that Liam and Tom would be in Liam's room. Lily and Tom's mom would be in my room, and I'd have to take the couch in the lounge. "What? No way! Then I'm sleeping on your bed." I fought with her for 3 hours. In the end, I was so tired I just crashed on the couch. The next 2 days were just crazy. Everyone was getting on each other's nerves except my mom and Tom's mom. They were acting like they were best friends, sunbathing on the rooftop and painting each other's toenails. When I asked Mom what we'd be doing for dinner, she said, "You can cook, can't you? Now go get me and Auntie some smoothies." Thankfully, Lily was feeling better and was helping out with the cleaning. She picked up the garbage bag and dumped it at Tom's feet. "Stop watching TV and go throw out the garbage." He didn't even look away from the screen. "You're garbage. Can I throw you out?" And before I knew it, the two were wrestling on the ground again. Liam shouted, "No one messes with my fair lady," and jumped right in and bit Tom's leg. I just turned around, slammed the door shut, and went back to cutting the vegetables. Why Lily chose to stay here and not go back to her parents was beyond me. And it was weird that they didn't even check up on her. Thank God the weekend was over. I couldn't wait to get back to school. But then we got the worst news ever. We found out about the pandemic that had struck the world. All schools would remain closed indefinitely, and no one was allowed to leave their houses unless it was an emergency. God, this was like my worst nightmare right now. A few days went by, and we were running out of food. I said I'd wear a mask and go to the grocery store. But just as I was about to head out, Tom and his mom dragged me back in. Tom's mom shrieked, "It's too dangerous. You're not going anywhere." Tom said, "Yeah, babe, the grocery store's too risky. Maybe we can go look for wild berries or some plants." Where did he think we lived? In the woods? It was cute that he cared about me, but he was kind of dumb. Anyone got a better idea? Then Lily said that she'd make a few phone calls and see what she could do. A few hours later, a truck came outside our house and dumped tons of boxes of food. There was enough in here to feed an army. Tom and Liam grabbed a pizza box each and started wolfing it down like monsters. The rest of us settled down on the table when Tom's mom casually said, "I can't go to work because of the pandemic, obviously, so I won't be able to pay on time this month." Mom quickly snatched away the piece of chicken she was eating from her hands. "You what?" "Oh, come on. I thought we were friends." "Nuh-uh. You only stay if you pay." Lily quickly intervened. "Don't worry, I'll make the payments this month. Let's not ruin the meal." Mom was thrilled, and thankfully we were able to continue with dinner in peace. Weeks went by with us stuck at home, and all everyone did all day was sit in front of the TV and eat. I could feel my own clothes getting tighter on me, and Lily was just busy stuffing her face with chocolates all day. One afternoon, when I was in my room and Lily was taking a nap, someone slowly opened the door and said, "Psst." I looked around to see it was Tom. "I've been trying to catch you alone ever since I've moved in here. How about we go to the basement and spend some time together?" I was only too happy to agree. We crept down the stairs giggling. Tom spread a mat on the cold floor. It was dark, and he took out a candle from his pocket and lit it up. Wow, how romantic. As we settled down on the mat, he looked at me and brushed a strand of hair away from my face. Just as he leaned in to kiss me, I saw something and let out a shrill scream. OMG, Clara, I think you just made me deaf. What's wrong? Tom, something is moving in that corner. The huge thing that was moving turned around, and when the light fell on his face, I saw it was Dad. Dad, you nearly gave us a heart attack. What are you doing here? He looked at me with sad eyes and said he had nowhere to go, so he'd been staying in the basement and sneaking into the kitchen for food when everyone was asleep. Clara, you go up and I'll give your dad company for a while. I'm sick of all those crazy women anyway. I said fine and left. And of course, I walked into someone screaming at someone. This time it was Tom's mom, and she was going ballistic because Liam had eaten her pizza slice. Mom cut in angrily. Hey, no one talks to my boy like that. He's a bad boy, just like his bad mother. Before I could jump in, Lily came forward to say something and threw up on Tom's mom instead. Mom was laughing hysterically while Tom's mom screamed in disgust. I walked over to Lily, who looked really sick. Lily, you really need to stop eating like that. I'm pregnant. What? So this is why she'd run away from home? There was a shocked silence in the room as we all stared at her. Suddenly, Liam burst into tears. I can't believe you betrayed me like this, my sweet, fair Lily. I told him to shut up as I hugged Lily, who had also started to cry. She said her parents had reached out to her and asked her to come back, but she knew they were ashamed of her for being pregnant, and it was bad for their reputation. Thankfully, both the crazy moms forgot their fighting and rushed over to hug her and said they'd take care of her. Mom moved Lily's things to her own room, and I moved back to mine. The next morning at breakfast, Tom sleepily came up from the basement. Man, I didn't sleep a wink last night. Your dad snores like a bear. Oh, Tom, you idiot! Mom's fork had already dropped onto her plate. That man is in my basement? Mom, let it go. He had nowhere to go in the pandemic. You make him leave this instant, otherwise I'll kick you all out. Before I could argue anymore with her, the front door burst open and Tom's dad walked in. He was crying like a little baby, and he instantly fell down at Tom's mom's feet. I want my lovely wife back. I'll kiss your feet every day. I feel scared in that house at night. Dear wifey, hold me. Tom's mom played hard to get for like 5 minutes, but then she turned to Tom. Come on, let's go. I've had enough of this crazy family. As she walked out with her husband, Mom yelled back at her, You ungrateful witch. Tom kissed my forehead. Thanks for everything. I'll see you around, babe. Just then, Dad walked into the room. There's an army of bodyguards outside asking for Lily. They're here to take her home because her parents miss her too much. Lily burst into tears and said she was ready to go. As she was leaving, she turned to hug me tight and gave me a stack of money as a way to thank me. I was delighted. Suddenly, Mom snatched it out of my hands and gave it back to Lily. We don't want any money from you. You're just like a daughter to me. As she hugged Lily and we waved her goodbye, Mom pulled me in for a hug too. What happened to my mom, and can I have her back? Mom laughed. This pandemic has made me realize what's important. I love you, babe. Liam and Dad joined in for a group hug. As we broke apart, Mom glared at Dad. We will talk later.